Welcome back, Kings fans. I am Jesse Cohen. This is All the Kings Men Live, presented by Manscaped. Manscaped is an official partner of the LA Kings. Thanks to this revolutionary company, manscaping accidents are a thing of the past. Just get yourself the Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. Inside, you'll find products like their Lawnmower 3.0, which is advanced skin-safe technology, so this trimmer won't cut you. Everything you need to keep trimmed and smelling nice is in the Perfect Package 3.0, and you can get 20% off plus free shipping with the code KINGSMEN at manscaped.com. Go to manscaped.com and use the code KINGSMEN. Carlyn, I think I nailed it this week.
I think you got it, dude.
There's a couple of hiccups in the middle of words there, but I got the end.
It was all there. It was all there.
Yeah.
Good job.
So Carrlyn Bathe joining me as she does every week. Thank you, Carlyn.
Hey, no problem. I'm staring at 3 different chat logs right now. Facebook,
oh my goodness, that's a lot of chat logs.
Twitch and YouTube. I'm ready for everybody's comments today. All of them. We're not missing a single one.
Oh wow.
We've got it all.
All right. Well,
we got the chat.
Hopefully they're nice comments.
All good so far.
Before we get to Sean Shapiro from The Athletic to talk about the Dallas Stars and some other Kings related stuff, Carlyn, I'm going to talk about myself for a little bit before I get into the Would You Rather.
Let's go.
I'm 42 years old, and I grew up in Long Beach, California in the 80s and the 90s. And for those of a certain age who grew up in Southern California, you'll know that Long Beach had itself a thriving music scene. And in my formative years, I played a number of different instruments, had a bunch of friends in bands, multiple bands. And so you might think that that would give me at least good taste in music.
Okay, yeah.
But unfortunately, Carlyn, I have terrible taste in music.
Uh-oh.
But one of the nice things about
who's your favorite band?
Well,
just before we keep going,
I don't have a favorite band.
Okay.
But if you looked at my iTunes folder, because I still use iTunes, the groups that get the most play would probably be like Green Day, the Beastie Boys, and a folder full of mashups that I put together in the 2000s.
Icons.
Well, no. Look,
What?
I'm not saying I'm incapable of liking good music, right? Like, one of the presets in my car is the Beatles, but another preset in my car is the Dave Matthews Band channel.
What's wrong with that?
Which I would say nothing, but I'm aware that other people.
Well, you're not discrediting yourself. Move along, but you got some taste in music.
But I also do like terrible music.
Okay.
And one of the forms of terrible music that I am inexplicably drawn to is songs about hockey teams. Back in 2012, in the early days of All the Kings Men, we did an episode, me, the Royal Half, and the Mayor.
Okay.
Where we broke down. I went and found one song for every team except for the Sharks. I don't think the Sharks have a song.
Okay.
Written specifically for that team, and we sort of broke it down: who was the best, who was the worst. Now we're in the Stanley Cup Final, and we're Dallas versus Tampa, and I'm not sure you could find two teams with songs on opposite ends of the spectrum. So this week's Would You Rather, Carlyn, is: would you rather have the Dallas Stars song, which we're about to play now by Pantera,
come on.
That's great, right? I mean, and that's their goal song as well.
It's Pantera. How are you?
Yeah.
I don't even want to hear the second song.
Well, you're going to have to. All right, producer Chris, there we go. So look, and there's a great video on YouTube about how that song came into being. The band was friends with the players. Yep. They started playing it as the goal song and sort of spurred them on to victory 20 years ago. But then on the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Hockey in Paradise, I think is the name of the song, by We Three. If we could go ahead and play that.
Shooting, he scores! Steven Stamkos! All right, now. Y'all ready to have a good time? It's hockey season now. All right. By the serving, by the chicks. Power plays and warm sunsets. Palm trees and hockey sticks.
Oh, we're done? Are we done?
Yeah, it goes on like that for 3 more minutes. Listen, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of love that song. It's look, I don't want to insult the people who made it because art is hard.
Yes.
But like I wouldn't fight anybody if they said that song was kind of rough. So would you rather, Carlyn? Would you rather have "Puck Off," the Dallas Stars song by Pantera, or "Hockey Paradise"?
I wish I pulled up my tweets from like a year or 2 or 3 years ago or whatever when I literally said the Dallas Stars have one of the best hockey goal songs of all time. I'm Pantera biased. I mean, we started before I even knew. I remember this morning I was like, I think I manifested this because I was already wearing my Pantera t-shirt. It was just kind of ingrained in me. It's got to be the Pantera song. But like you said, you don't want to, diss anybody's art. Listening to that Tampa song, I think the more you listen to it, the better it gets. Like the more lines you hear and you're like, I didn't hear that one before, or I didn't see that part in the video before, or I wasn't focused on that part before. And it's just so bizarre. And granted, it's dated, right? I feel like if you ask me which one stood the test of time, maybe the Pantera one I would also choose as well. But gosh, Jesse, that's just so epic to have Pantera writing your goal song. Come on.
Yeah, well, one of the things that fascinates me the most about this collection of music that I've put together and listened to way too often is that some of the songs are by bands that have, name recognition, right? Like they're, the Boston Bruins obviously have a song by the Dropkick Murphys, and the Misfits wrote a song called "I Want to Be a New York Ranger." I'm not entirely sure they're Rangers fans, but the song exists. Ministry has one for the Chicago Blackhawks. But then there's also, there's this Tampa Bay song. No disrespect to We Three Kings, but I don't know how popular they are. It's entirely possible that they're hugely popular, but I had to dig to find some songs for some of these teams, and they're not by huge artists. It's been 8 years since we did that episode. We did it in 2012.
Wow.
And since then, the Golden Knights have joined the league. And like I said, there wasn't really a Sharks song when we did it. I would love to revisit that episode. I'm planning on doing it at some point because there's been some new songs written, and then there's been some songs. Yeah, but I just wanted to highlight that one.
Play your takes too from the time that you said them 8 years ago, and then compare to see if they still stood the test of time. You know what I'm saying? Be like, I loved it back then. Wow, what was I thinking?
Oh, there's Carlyn's tweet saying the Dallas Stars might have the best goal song in hockey. Good job, producer
Chris. Oh my gosh. See, I wasn't lying. Nice. Okay.
But anyway, so you're taking Pantera, and I'm taking We Three Kings with Hockey Paradise. So there
we go.
Now we are going to talk to Sean Shapiro from The Athletic, though, about the Dallas Stars. And as I said earlier, a little bit about the Kings. Sean Shapiro from The Athletic joins us. Thanks so much, Sean. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. How about you guys?
Doing great, thanks. Before we get into the Stanley Cup Final between the Tampa Bay Lightning and your Dallas Stars, I want to talk about the Rookie of the Year vote, the Calder Trophy. You gave Matt Roy a fifth-place vote. And you said, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't think that would be such a groundbreaking thing, just to be completely honest. I know there's lots of people who are talking about their ballots and about why they didn't have this person or that person in the Hart Trophy voting or anything like that. And I was not expecting to be the only person to give Matt Roy a fifth place vote. I'll be completely frank about that. So that kind of surprised me.
So I mean, we all love Matt Roy, obviously, but I'm curious, at what point in the season did his name even get on your radar? I wouldn't have even thought of him as Rookie of the Year for the Kings necessarily when you had guys like Blake Lizotte, who maybe for Kings fans might have been a little bit more of a prominent name. So at what point during the season did you catch wind of Matt Roy's season?
Yeah, I mean, he's someone who, when the game against Dallas, he was actually pretty good in the game against Dallas. That's something that when I do look at my ballot, I do keep in mind what I saw in person. Obviously, you can't use that as everything because one game here or there may not be the best way to judge a guy, but I think you do have to take that into account. And then the other thing for me about him is when I was looking at kind of Rookie of the Year voting, and I put a lot of value in being a consistent, good defenseman at a young age, more so than being able to score power play goals with a good shot just at 20, 21 years old. And that's kind of where it came down to me. I looked at when you look at the rookie class and Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar, obviously both great defensemen impacting the game all over the place. But you look at some of the other forwards, and none of the forwards to me in this class really stood out to me of like, that guy is the rookie of the year. That guy should be on my ballot. Those guys were more of, okay, there was a guy, there were some good goal numbers, power play goals, or even in Dallas, I covered Dennis Gurianov and I see him on a nightly basis. Dennis Gurianov was not consistent all year. And to me, I think consistency is a huge thing. If you can show that consistency, that to me says a lot about what you're able to do as a first year player compared to just those counting numbers with goals. And that's where kind of you start looking through this and you start thinking about guys who might fill out the ballot after that top three that everyone should have had in Fox, in Makar, Hughes, and Fox. And then you look at, and not to be disrespectful at all, but Kings were not a good hockey team this year. Just to be, they were not a good hockey team this year, and they
no offense taken.
Yeah, and they struggled. But when Matt Roy was on the ice, and you look at them across the season, they actually weren't a bad hockey team. And I know some of the deployment may have been a little bit more favorable for a younger guy, but when you take a look at when a team has struggled like the Kings have, and a guy and a defenseman is playing 16, 18, 19 minutes a night, and the team is a better team during that stretch. And I know plus minus isn't the greatest stat, but on a team that was a pretty minus team finishes that positive, that to me speaks to consistency. That to me speaks to that is something a first year defenseman is not supposed to be able to do, even on a good team. To me, that's why he filled out my ballot. Now it wasn't, I didn't think, it's kind of a bummer for him for how good the rookie class was, because since you can only vote for two defensemen for the all rookie team, you have to vote for Hughes and Makar, obviously. And so he didn't make my all rookie team ballot, but I had four defensemen on my Calder ballot. So, and I thought his consistency and combined with what I saw when I saw him play, that to me stood out as this is a first year player that is doing really great, really good things for a first year player on a very bad team.
Jesse, I feel like we clip all that, send that to Coach Todd McClellan, and Todd will go, that's exactly what I've been saying all year long. And Sean, the nickname that Todd gave to Matt Roy was Steady Eddie. So what you're saying about his consistency was equally echoed throughout the locker room all season long by the head coach. So I back that vote, and we both got a kick out of it, and we're very excited to see that when we saw, I'm not hiding. I'm the one that voted for Matt Roy. It was me.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, a lot of happy Kings fans.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something where as I said, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. Like when I was putting my ballot together, this wasn't an attention grabbing look at me vote even. I wasn't leaving Draisaitl off my ballot. I wasn't leaving Karlsson off my ballot. I was literally just, okay, well, who do I think fits best in the fifth place spot? And that's what it was. And I thought it was just funny that there was when all of these ballots come out and then you see a bunch of people like quote tweeting the thing and like, who voted for Matt Roy?
Who did that?
Okay. Well,
is there a bit of anxiety too, thinking about who's going to want to know, who voted for that person? Is there some anxiety going into the voting process?
I think there should be kind of having that transparency is good. And I think that's something that I think in a way that's good. Because I think it should make people put more effort into paying and actually thinking about all of their ballot. The other thing too, and it's just, that's why I kind of made the joke, kind of said like, hey, yeah, I voted for Matt Roy. I'm not afraid to say that. Don't be afraid to, I think a lot of the people who had a controversial ballot and aren't saying anything are the ones that are nervous about it now. And when really you should have been confident in how you were voting in the first place. So that's kind of an issue with the entire voting system, I think, because you sometimes get people throwing homer votes and stuff like that. Like I easily could have given Dennis Gurianov the fifth place vote as the Stars beat writer. That would have been easy. I would have gotten a lot of Stars fans saying, hey, great, you gave Denny a vote. And I did not do that. I was not like people who gave Tony D'Angelo a Norris Trophy vote, which I don't understand at all. But that's a conversation for another day.
Sean, I do this every year, but you're here, you're a voter, so I'm now going to pitch you my idea for how I think the awards should work moving forward, because every year there's a controversial, vote, or you can take a look at who somebody voted for fifth, for any of the awards. You go, what? This person gave that, and at the end of the day, it's one fifth place vote. It's in the case of Matt Roy, we love it, but in other cases, it drives people up a wall. But here's my proposal. Tell me if I'm crazy. I say any award that deals with on-ice performance, like measurable, I don't want to say measurable on-ice performance, but the Norris, the Selke, the Vezina, the Ross, stuff like that, I would divide them into divisions and let the players nominate one player per division. So take all the forwards in the Pacific Division and let them nominate who they think the toughest defenseman in the Pacific is, and go through all that. And that's how you get your finalists. And you wind up with your 4 finalists, and then you turn it over to the media and let them rank them 1 through 4.
You love shaking things up, Jesse. You just love it.
You
put it in a paper and you go, this.
I just think it's like, I know how much time it takes me to come up with my opinions about the Kings.
Yeah.
And I know how difficult it is to follow one team. And Sean, I imagine you cover the Stars, right? I'm sure you spend a ton of your life thinking about the Stars.
Yes.
I wouldn't expect you to know every player on the Montreal Canadiens roster.
I like your idea. I like your idea in theory. I think there's merit to it in a couple ways. I do think there is a bit of issue too, where I think there are some players who, and you're going to run to this either way because there's some media members that don't take the ballots as seriously as they should. But I think there are some players. Mm-hmm. I think there are some players that will only vote on reputation, or you'll get one, or you run into the issue of maybe there's one strong voice in a locker room of, like when the Stars were here, Jason Spezza when Jason Spezza with the Stars, he watched more hockey than the rest of the team combined. So in that scenario, I would imagine the Stars players get the vote of, hey, let's vote for the best defenseman. The locker room's going to turn to Jason Spezza, and then everyone says, oh, we'll just vote like Jason Spezza. And so I think I like your idea. There's definitely some merit to it. I think there's some hurdles to figure out to it, but I don't think it's a bad idea. My idea that I've always thought would kind of, for the awards voting, there's 2 things for me that I would like. I think one, I think the Lady Bing voting should be voted on by officials. That's always been my take, where I don't think the media members should really vote on that, because all that one turns into is, well, let's sort penalty minutes and points, and that's all people do. And then the other one that I just because, and this is more of just I'd be really curious to see how people voted. I wish they forced the GMs to divulge their ballots for the Vezina, because I would love to see which GMs voted for their own guy and because that's the one ballot we don't get to see. We don't get any transparency on, because they protect the GMs on that. So, but your idea is not bad. I think there's a couple hurdles we have to figure out, and maybe there's, I don't know. But
there's some tweaks I left out. Like, I don't think you wouldn't be able to vote on a player on your own team.
Okay.
Right. You keep it anonymous. So at some point you've got 12 guys or 14 guys, depending on the size of the roster, maybe more. You could expand it to AHL players, I guess. And, you're looking at 15, 20 votes amongst forwards for the Vezina, for the Norris. Also think there should be 3 different defenseman awards: offensive, defensive, and overall. I don't know. And at the end of the day, also, you just wind up with more content, right? Because then at the award ceremony, you've got, you can break it down into conference winners, right? Like, who was the Eastern Conference Norris Trophy winner? Who was the Western? I don't know.
I don't mind that part. That's something where I think that's something that's always worked well with baseball, where they have the AL and the NL Cy Young winner. And I don't know, maybe you do one overall MVP, but just you look at, I see every team in the Western Conference at least 2-3 times, at least 3 times, and in a typical season. And in the Eastern Conference, in person, you see them once at home, once in away. And if a guy, say you're voting on like the all goalie for the All-Star team or something like that, if I see them play the backup goalie one game and the other guy's a bad game, that's the whole sample size. And so I also don't think, I wouldn't have an issue with that. If I only voted on the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference based media, I don't know if that would work either, but there are definitely some tweaks that, but your idea is creative too. That's also one of the more unique ones. I like it.
That's why we love.
I'm an idea guy.
Yeah, that's
right.
He's
all right, well, That's right. So we fixed the postseason voting. Now let's go ahead and fix the Dallas Stars, who find themselves down 2-1 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Listen, you excused yourself from offending the Kings, so I'm going to go ahead and take a swipe at the Stars here.
Oh!
I tweeted out after Dallas won Game 1 that they're 3 games away from becoming the first wrong team to win the Cup since the 2003 Devils. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take that back. I don't think the Devils were the wrong team in 2003, but one of my favorite questions is, has there ever been a team that won the Cup that was the wrong team? And the one that I always come close to say that came the closest was Buffalo against Dallas in, what was that, 99? If Buffalo had won that, that would have been the wrong team.
Oh,
but they didn't.
Yeah.
So, dodged the bullet. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's the thing that everyone forgets. Like, everyone in Buffalo always says, well, Brett Hull's goal shouldn't have counted. That was Game 6 of a series. The team that won the President's Trophy was up 3-2 in. Like, that's like, Stars may have scored 4 minutes later in that same overtime. That's my favorite part about that. But continue.
So now the Stars find themselves on the other side of that equation. I mean, if the Stars win this, they're the wrong team, right?
I think they're the wrong team by the traditional, like, hey, Tampa's the favorite, but I don't think Dallas is the wrong team based off of this isn't a team that was even a wild card team. I mean, this was a top 4 team in the Western Conference. This was a team that you take off the 1-7-1 start and the 0-4-2 finish to the regular season. They had the best record in the NHL from October 27th until February 25th. They had the best record in the NHL. So it is a team that is incredibly streaky and incredibly weird. I admit that completely. But they are, to say they're a team undeserving, I don't think that's fair to say they're undeserving. I think the wrong team narrative fits because everyone will look at, okay, well, this was supposed to be Tampa and it was supposed to be Colorado or Vegas out of the West. But I think
or Calgary, according to you at the beginning of it
all. I did pick Calgary. I picked against Dallas in every round. They looked terrible. Like they did not want to. They looked at the round robin like they did not want to be there. That's the most amazing thing to me about all of this is where they found a switch where they decided to basically play the round robin like 3 exhibition games and if that, and then somehow flipped a switch. So that amazes me. But
carry on.
I also think history will be a little bit more kind to the Dallas team than other teams that would be the wrong team to win because people will look back and it's not a team of nobodies. I mean, people will look back if they win, Joe Pavelski will have won a cup. Corey Perry's won another cup. It'll be Tyler Seguin and Jamie Benn. And so I think it's a team that history will be more kind than a team like if Buffalo won, people would have looked at that Buffalo team and it would have been, well, I mean, Dominik Hasek won, but what was the rest of that team?
Yeah. Well, I look at the regular season scoring numbers and the postseason scoring numbers, and it just feels like Heiskanen and Klingberg are dragging this team over the finish line. Sean, we want to thank you so much. Unfortunately, we're running out of time here, but best of luck to you in your Dallas Stars in the attempt to become the first wrong team to win the Stanley Cup.
Thanks for having me, everyone. And if as former Kings coach John Stevens told me, I had to pick against him again in all 4 rounds after they proved me wrong in the first 3 rounds. So that's another thing for Kings fans to root for.
Tell him we say hello.
All right, thanks. That's right.
We will.
Bye, Sean.
It's one all, one shot, now the future is yours. Go!
Huge thanks to Sean Shapiro from The Athletic for joining us there to talk about the Dallas Stars and, of course, his vote for Matt Roy.
Yes.
Double thanks for that vote for Matt Roy.
Yes.
Steady Eddie, as we've
the comments are loving it. Yeah. Everyone was agreeing with it.
Well, they should.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. So, look, the draft got moved up to the 6th and 7th, I think is right. And I was expecting, Carrlyn, that there wouldn't be any more real sort of substantive Kings news between now and then. And then the other day, I wake up a little bit earlier than usual, and I see a tweet from Germany from Ice Baron Berlin that Jacob Ingham, Akil Thomas, Aiden Dudas, Tyler Madden, and Alex Turcotte have been assigned to Ice Baron Berlin, and Alex Faust confirmed that. And now we've got, I think, as many as 10 players assigned to European teams to start the season over there. They can all come back once the NHL training camps open and once the season begins. We're not entirely sure when that's going to be. Gary Bettman has expressed some doubt that the previously mentioned date, of early December would be the kickoff time. But again, we've got the list there. Carl Grundstrom is in Björklöven. Bjorn Foot is in Djurgården. Sodergren's in Almtuna. Fagamo is in Södertälje, and Muvrare is in Saipa. Now, that's 4 different leagues, if you count the 5 guys sent over to Berlin. They're all playing in the DEL, the German league. Saipa is in Liga in Finland. Södertälje and Djurgårdens are in the SHL, the primary league in Sweden. Whereas Almtuna and Björklöven, where Grundstrom and Södergren are playing, are in Hockey Allsvenskan. It's a lot of information, Carlyn. I apologize. I'm about to hit you with a little bit more. The difference for those who are curious between the 2 leagues in Sweden, SHL is like I said, the primary league, and the Hockey Allsvenskan is the secondary league. It doesn't work the way it does here in North America, where the AHL acts as a development league or a feeder league into the NHL. I asked our Swedish correspondent, Sixten Funquist, to verify this for me, so I'm not pretty sure this is how it works. At the end of the season, the 13th and 14th team in the SHL play a best-of-7 play-out series. The winner stays, but the loser gets relegated down to Hockey Allsvenskan. And Hockey Allsvenskan has a playoff, much like a standard playoff. The difference is the winner, instead of winning, say, the Calder Cup in the AHL, gets promoted into the SHL. And then there's a third league where the similar process plays out. So anyway, yeah, exactly. Yeah, with relegation. Yeah.
So
and I guess they've changed the system a few times over recent years, but this is the first season that they're doing this system, where basically the bottom 2 teams have a 7-game series to see who gets relegated.
So interesting.
Now, like I said, none of those guys hopefully will be on the team by the time that rolls around. Hopefully the NHL season will have kicked off and they'll have been recalled, and it'll be a distant memory to all of us. But at least a chance to see 10 players the Kings have under contract, getting in some practice, getting in some reps, getting time on ice while the NHL figures out its schedule. And Lukáš Pařík has been assigned to his home team in the Czech League. Now, I don't think he signed an ELC yet, so he's not included in this list, but he's out there playing as well. So you've got 11 Kings prospects getting ice time, getting practice, getting time under their belt. This is just intuition. There's no insider knowledge behind what I'm about to say. But I think if you look at the names of the players and which leagues they're going to, I think it might give you a subtle clue as to who has a better chance of cracking the Kings lineup versus starting the season in Ontario. Okay. Bjorn Foot and Fagamo playing in the top league in the SHL. Södergren and Grundstrom playing in the secondary league. And then the 5 guys going to Berlin. I would anticipate those 5 guys going to Berlin as being, Ontario reign to start the season. Whereas guys like Bjorn Foot and Fagamo, and even Grundstrom, even though he's playing in Allsvenskan and not the SHL, I would say have the better chance to crack the Kings lineup. Whereas Muvrare and Södergren, again, Södergren played for Ontario last season. Muvrare played for Frölunda, I believe, in the SHL. Unclear whether or not he'll be coming over. We did talk to Krister Kasarainen and Sixten Funquist, 2 correspondents from Sweden and Finland. We asked them the difference between the SHL and Liga. What we heard was that Liga plays a closer system to the North American style, more defense, more physical, whereas the SHL is that more free-flowing Swedish skill style. So, I don't know. I'll be curious. But nice to see Kings prospects getting some work in. And there's an opportunity maybe to see some of them playing in preseason games if you want to get online and figure out how to stream some of those games from across
Someone or a couple people actually are asking in the chat right now, is there a way to stream these games, Jesse? 3 different people. Where can we watch them? Can we stream them? How do we do that? So maybe, I don't know if you have information off the top of your head, but if not, maybe that's something we could look into and figure out.
I have seen in various places around the internet, whether it was on the Hockey's Future board or in Reddit or on Twitter or on Facebook, I have seen people link two streaming sites. I think the DEL has an online partner where you can watch some of those games. The SHL, Liga, and Hockey Allsvenskan, I imagine there's probably a way, but don't quote me on that. I've seen some highlights of some of those games. But if you're in this, I just don't have that answer, unfortunately.
If there is a way that is safe for people to click and watch, the Kings will for sure let you know. I can count on that. They will let us know if there's a way to watch these players. And gosh, I hope there is. That'd be really fun.
And this is just a tweet from Alex Faust. Isa Baron tweeted this out, but the Kings PR has not yet confirmed the assignment of the 5 players to Berlin. But Akil Thomas has his own podcast, Soul on Ice, which you can find on NHL, and he talked about it on a recent episode about how excited he was to go play there. So not official from the Kings, but it does appear that it will be happening, and you can trust that everybody in the Kings ecosystem will give as much information about that as we have moving forward. Speaking of information from the Kings ecosystem, Carlyn, it's time for the social media roundup.
Let's round it up. We're going to start with this beautiful picture of some fall foliage and Blake Lizotte and Abby. And it's just a nice, wholesome picture. You get nothing but wholesome pictures while following Blake Lizotte on Instagram. And it's just a nice reminder that, holy crap, Jesse, summer's over. That's really what that says to me.
I go to the Lizottes for my wholesome fall foliage, but I go to Alex Iafallo for my surfing stuff.
And we've got you covered there with this incredible video. And let's give a little bit of a backstory on Alex Iafallo. Great hockey player, right? But he's also this extremely creative person off the ice. He has a lot of interests. Some of them, Kings fans know about. He loves getting into extreme sports. He's like I call him like a mountain man. Like if he weren't playing hockey, he'd have a beard 3 feet long living in the mountains somewhere, right? And another layer to him is this creativity where he loves shooting video and also loves editing video and putting together cool little stories. So I've seen some things that he's done in the past with whether it was his surfing or his biking. And this surf video he just recently posted. And it is just so cool and gives you kind of a different look at, what these players are doing off the ice. So we're going to play the whole thing for you all. Please enjoy this from Alex Iafallo.
I think we're back. Look, like I said earlier in the show, I have terrible taste in music, but I kind of like that little background music, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It fits the vibe of what's going on. So I just love that. And I love seeing, players' lives outside the ice, like I mentioned before. It's just cool to know, there's creativity. There's things people are into. Mm-hmm. Post about it more. Come on, guys, let's go. We love this. I love that.
Yeah, he's, like as you said, he's a bit of a Renaissance man. Obviously, making that board to learn how to surf. It is always fascinating to see the behind the scenes photos, or not photos, but behind the scenes stories of what makes these guys who they are. I think that is going to do it for us, Carlyn. But I do want to let Kings fans know, as we mentioned earlier, the draft show is October 6th. The draft is October 6th, the first round, and then the rounds 2 through 7 will be October 7th. We will be here both days. Carlyn, unfortunately, will not be joining us, but day 1, we'll have Thomas Middleditch, we'll have Retta, we'll have hopefully Jack Harris from the LA Times. We'll be covering who the Kings take with the second overall pick, any trades that get made, any surprise picks that happen. Then on that second day, we're going to be joined by Zach Dooley, Jack Jablonski, Cameron Close, and the mayor. Those of you who are familiar with his work, we'll be breaking down all of the picks that the Kings make in rounds 1 through 7, and if there are any trades, what the impact of those trades are on the roster. We may have more guests that we haven't confirmed yet. Hopefully, you'll tune in. You can watch it on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Twitch. Kayla, the in-arena host from Staples Center, will be joining me on day 1, and as I said, on day 2, Cameron Close, Jack Jablonski, Zach Dooley, and the mayor. Also, we hope to get Lisa Tillman. There's just a lot of stuff going to be happening on those 2 days, so we hope that you tune in, and we hope that you won't be disappointed by what the Kings do on that. Carrlyn, again, thanks as always for joining me.
Thank you, Jesse. And you mentioned one person in there that I think we should give a special shout out to, and that's Zach Dooley. Hashtag the Dooley Weds. Yeah. He just got married.
Yeah, the Dooley Weds.
Congrats to Zach Dooley, newly married man. Newly Dooley wed. Love that. And no one's going to have a better hashtag than him for their wedding. So throwing that out there. But
and he does a great job on the Rainy Day podcast with Cameron Close,
incredible.
Which if none of you are listening to it, you should be. They have some great interviews, and the two of them are very funny. That can be found at lakings.com/podcast, as well as All the Kings Men and Fox and Faust, which is in the offseason right now, but we'll be coming back hopefully this coming season. So thanks again to Sean Shapiro from The Athletic. Thanks again to you, Carrlyn. Thanks to producer Chris for digging up that tweet so quickly. And thanks to you, Kings fans, for watching at home. We'll talk to you soon.